Didn't think we would get more crazy stuff, but Zlong Games keeps coming up with ways to surprise us. We are getting a new Elma. Elma 2.0, or what she's apparently called, the Blessed Apostle, and she's actually pretty insane once she comes out to global. A lot of people are going to be after her. And this is the other character, Adankelmo, which is a weird name by the way. She has a unique mechanic, but other than that, she's pretty solid. But first, let's take a look at the new Elma. She's part of the Protagonist, Glory, and Mythical faction, and has a Holy and Infantry class. These are her sprite work in-game, and the wording for both the characters' kits may look a bit weird since I'm pretty sure it was shared by using a translation, so I'm gonna just try my best to read it in clear detail for you guys. Her talent allows her to reduce her damage taken all the way up to 25% at 6 stars. At the end of her turn, she gains 1 Mirror Light at 3 stars, but if at 4 and 5 stars, she gains 2 instead, and at 6 stars, she gains 3 of them. These layers actually increases her int by 2%. When being attacked by skills that dispels buffs, however, it will remove a layer of Mirror Light first instead, and she can have a max of 5 of these layers. So let's say Elma has 5 layers of Mirror Light and gets attacked by like Sword Soul from Elwyn. Sword Soul is a skill that dispels 5 buffs, so that means it would dispel all of her mirror layers. But let's say she has 3 layers instead. She will lose those 3 layers first before dispelling 2 other random buffs on her. She can revive after taking fatal damage and heals all the way up to 50% at 6 stars. And at the same time gains 3 layers of Mirror Light at 3 stars, 4 layers if at 4 and 5 stars, and then at 6 stars it will be 5 layers. That only triggers once every battle. Also, one thing to note is that her defense and magic defense scales with her int. As for her unique skills, she has a 1C active skill that dispels 2 buffs and gains 2 Mirror Light layers, while also gaining 2 random immunity buffs that last for 2 turns. Her 2C is a guard skill that has a passive that allows her to guard nearby allies within 1 block, like most guard skills. When using it, guard range is increased by 2 blocks and adds 15% of her int to her defense and magic defense, like what Hilda does with her talent, but Hilda uses her attack and then adds them to her defense and magic defense. And she is able to counter attack 2 blocks for 2 turns. Her other 2C skill deals 1.5 times magic damage to an enemy, and the damage increases for every ally that were killed up to 45%. Soldiers are able to attack when using it as a range attack. The skill is not affected by melee penalty. Her 3C skill has a passive effect that allows her to guard allies within 1 block and is immune to an immune displacement effect, healing reversal, and rune curse. This also has a command effect whereas all allies within 2 blocks have their crit reduced by 20, and 10% is increased for holy units. When using the skill, increases guard range by 2 and the command range increases by 3 blocks as well. Adds 50% of her into her defense and magic defense, can also counter attack at 2 blocks, and other holy allies on the map have their stats increased for 4 turns, which is similar to a faction buff, pretty much. Elma is definitely gonna be meta changing, most definitely. She's actually a really good counter against Elwyn since this guy has been a menace ever since he got his SP form. And this is actually the first time we're seeing a character that can basically counter the spell buff's effects. And not only that, but also basically a faction buff for a specific class type. She's definitely gonna grab the Apex players' attention, and myself included as well, but I don't really PvP a whole lot. I just really like her art style. Elma New Drip is looking pretty good. Next we have Adankelmo. Not sure if I'm butchering that name, but it's a weird one. She's part of the Mythical, Yelis, and Strategy faction and has a Holy and Mage class. This is her sprite in game as well. Her talent allows her to increase her damage dealt all the way up to 30% at 6 stars, and will place a terrain effect at 2 selected location, which is door 1 and door 2 at the end of her turn. If an ally ends their turn on these doors, they will then be transported to the other door, but if these enemies end their turn 3 blocks away from these doors, then it will apply a debuff on them. These doors last for 3 rounds and allies can only be teleported once every turn. And the doors requires 5 turns at 3 stars, 4 turns at 4 and 5 stars, and at 6 stars it requires 3 turns before you can use them again. These doors will have a higher terrain priority, so something like Lewin's 3C terrain won't be able to override it. Also, while the doors are active on the map, her range is increased by 2 blocks. Now let's get into her unique skills. Her 1C is a passive skill that increases her int and defense by 5%, and allies that uses a door receives a 15% less damage reduction for 1 turn. Her 2C skill deals 1.6 times magic damage to an enemy, and if an enemy is within 2 blocks from the door, her damage dealt increases by 20%, can heal 20% of damage dealt after battle, and can teleport to any blocks within 2 range from where she was attacking from. Lastly, her 3C skill has a passive where if she does not attack at all and is on a door tile, then she can act again but only can move 2 blocks. Buffs on her do not lose their turn duration and is able to attack. Her act again has a 2-turn cooldown before it can be triggered once more. Now, I may be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure this is a self-surrounding AoE skill that can be used either on herself, or it can be used on whichever door you decide to use the skill at. It deals 0.4 times AoE magic damage to all enemies within 4 blocks, and it inflicts 2 random weakening debuffs, and then it applies Delusion. What this does is that when the enemy ends their turn 3 blocks away from the door, they gain 2 random debuffs that cannot be dispelled for 2 turns, and the cooldown of the skill can be reduced by 2 turns. If it hits 3 or more enemies, that is. Before we talk about her, can I say that the new characters we're getting are always mostly part of the mythical factions? Like, no one really runs that anymore. And for some reason, we still keep getting more of them. Maybe it's because story-wise, but I kinda don't like how consistent we keep getting more characters like that. Maybe if we get another mythical faction buffer that people will start commonly use more, then I won't really have a problem with that. This character is pretty good. Her unique mechanics can help her, and her team sneak around for an opening, but I'd say it would only benefit her the most, since she's the only one that can act again after going through the doors. So you're probably mostly better off using it as a way to repositioning your team. She also has +2 range only when the doors are active. Plus, if you're using the scepter on her, she will have a total of 5 range. Only downside to this is that if you don't have her at 6 stars, then you can't really stay consistent as much with her range. Her factions are just okay, and she's really isn't nothing too crazy, to be honest. Overall, they're pretty good characters, especially the new Elma. In my opinion, I don't really think every character in the game are bad. They're all good in their own ways. It's just that there's always going to be that one character that outperforms the other one. Also, I like how Elma is the only reincarnation character. I know she's not part of the faction, but that's the series where she originated from. But I like the fact that she's the only one that didn't go full edgy emo mode out of all these second versions of them. I don't know when these two will drop, but I do know that Global is like 4 to 6 months behind CN. Actually, taking a look at the banner schedule here, it looks like we're actually 4 months behind CN. Wow, I actually thought it was a bit longer than that. But I'm super excited for these characters to drop. The one I'm really looking forward the most is Elma. You already know. But that's not all, folks. There's more than just these 2 characters. There's a new skill system called Divine Ascent. It will be located in the bottom right of the equipment menu. And basically, you're using these special materials in order to upgrade their weapon, armor, and stuff like that, which will increase your character stats. You can get these materials by farming the new daily stage only twice a day, I believe. Unless it's just where you get the extra materials, because there's a 99 in the top left corner, so I'm assuming you can only farm these 99 times a day for you crazy people out there. And they have icons showing which materials you can farm for. By the way, some of these stages will unlock on certain days, just keep that in mind. Not only that, it can even unlock special abilities as well, such as for Almeda once you upgrade her to a certain point. She is able to obtain a passive effect where she can have 5% increase of her int, and after using ultimate equip or her 3C, the skill cooldown is randomly reduced by 1 of 4 turns. And some other characters have special passive ability as well. Not only that, there's this new type of banner which I'm going to refer to it as a faction banner. The factions switch around daily in the order of Protagonist, Legion of Glory, Princess, Empire, and Dark. However though, you can use 88 crystals to switch to a faction pool and it won't affect the daily rotation. You are able to select 2 characters for an increased drop rate, I'm assuming. But what sucks about this banner is that you can only pick certain characters for a better rate. So this is obviously a bait banner, and I'm only really seeing a few of these characters that are more useful for content clearing. Tiaris and Caroline exclusive got dropped as well. For Tiaris, it's a headgear that gives her plus 10% increase of her HP, and after using a single target skill on an ally, they gain a damage dealt increased by 30% and gain damage taken reduced by half. So she's basically giving attack blessing for 1 turn. And this is not a bad one, not gonna lie. Then we have Caroline headgear that increases her HP and defense by 5%. What it does is that it increases her range of her talent by 1 and the duration of the movement reduction effect that she does, which will increase by 1 as well. For every 1 block moved, her crit chance and damage dealt increases by 2% up to 10%. Also not a bad one, so if you enjoy using Caroline, you could definitely pick this one up as well. That's it. That's all I have for you guys. Feel free to let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about this update that just dropped in CN. Also, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.